and gentlemen, welcome. This is the Sales Made Smarter Growth podcast. We're coming to you live every
Yes.
Tuesday. If we're coming to you live on Tuesday, you probably noticed that we took a break 2 weeks. Boy, was that enjoyable! It's great to have you back. And we continue to talk about our 10 commandments for smarter growth. 10 things, 10 golden rules we believe and know to be very important if you want to grow your company, stay in charge, take control, but also spare yourself a lot of unnecessary headaches. So,
Mhm.
ideally, let us know in the comments below if there's anything you can take out of these sessions, because we certainly hope to save you a decade of testing and trying by sharing everything we know. We don't know everything, but everything we know, we share with you. And I am super pumped to have with me today again the man, the main man from Switzerland, head of sales at Larry, Mr. Patrick Trumpy. Welcome, Patrick.
Welcome, everyone. Happy to
And
be here.
in the other corner, Abdu Tiam, our founder's growth quarterback. Anything you need that deals with growth, Abdu is probably the right guy to deal with. Gentlemen,
Uh,
how's it?
yeah, I'm getting used to that title.
That's good.
Um,
You should.
yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Max. Yeah, thanks for inviting me in again. And yeah, looking forward to this talk, to this discussion.
Me too, Max. Finally, once again on Tuesday. We haven't been here for quite some time. No, actually, last time on Tuesday. So
Since last time, right?
last time. But before we had a few Fridays, and anyway, that's not very crucial here. So looking forward to a great session with technical and tactical advice for our listeners, so that they can make use of whatever we share immediately.
Yeah, and like I know how busy you guys are, and for a reason, of course. And you guys are not for hire typically. So I'm glad that we find the time to share our wisdom here, even if it takes a week longer, even if it's sometimes on Thursday. We certainly hope that you guys out there appreciate it. We know because like we're not sales what is that? Like we're practitioners. So everything we talk about, we try. Everything we talk about, we do. Everything we talk about, we've done before.
That's
So,
why
yep.
that's why I agree, and that's why after 7, Abdu and I always are well available, because after 7 it's pretty hard to reach anyone with a cold call, and it's probably not the best to do so, because not sure if they appreciate it when you're cheap when you get on dinner, right? So after
Yeah.
7, next everything's fine. We have time, and yeah, maybe that's
Yeah, this is actually us taking a break from
Yeah,
doing the
that's like the
sales.
sun sets over the screen part, right? Abdu and Patrick are leaving the scene. Yeah, that's why it's a sundown, right? It's for everybody. I mean, everybody who's listening to this, founders, consultants, sales guys, people who have aspiration, right? They typically put in the work, so they don't have time to listen to crap at 5 p.m. typically. Cool. So today we are talking about help. I need a customer next week. So what can you do when your hair is on fire, right? You're burning. So in front of the screens, put your questions in the chat below, even if you don't see this live. We will have a look at it. We are happy to answer everything that's on your mind. There are no bad questions. There's no right or wrong. Just let us know, and that will also help us tailor, like the content a little better. And yeah, so the commandment we're talking about is move on the proof, never scale the fail. It's commandment number 9. So that means you guys almost made it. And a few of you will get the Sales Made polo shirt very soon. if you watch all 10 episodes. It's something you cannot buy. It's something you earn. And Patrick will personally sign them and send them out from Zurich. And so guys, what do you mean by saying, what is that? Move on the proof, don't scale the fail. What is this about, Patrick?
That's one of the great quotes of Max that are
sounds like it.
Sounds like it, right? I don't know anyone other than you, Max, who comes up with these kind of quotes that rhyme and that even makes sense sometimes.
It rhymes sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're back with it.
Yeah. Good, Max. So move on the proof, don't scale the fail. I mean, it's as you write it. As you write it. Move on the proof, don't scale the fail. But there's nothing more to say.
What a gorgeous curve ball.
Patrick's just baffled by the fact that it rhymes, so he's going to keep repeating.
Abdu.
Yes. Actually, you came up with the second part of this phrase, the last time before the last recording. We talked about founders wanting to do the one-to-many marketing too quickly, or now that in 2021 everything's got to be scalable, so they try to scale things that are not proven yet, or without a proof of concept, or without finishing, let's call it, the groundwork. So I think it's a very good quote, because it says what I just did, but in one sentence. So
and it's an interesting point. Like people, and that is interesting. I know that Abdu and I were working on the landing page copy for that SalesMate program that we are creating. And I mean, we're just founders, right? I mean, we're just founders, and we're trying to win customers and we're going out there and winning customers for our organizations. And there's always stuff that you're not good at, right? And my feeling is it's getting more and more. So today, what do you have to do today? You do have to be a copywriter. You have to understand Facebook ads. Now you have to understand Facebook ads on iOS because it works differently. Then you have to write the emails. You have to have the conversation with the customer. Is this complex, right? And then what we observe is most people, they try to start some engine that would deliver customers to your organizations after they have perfected their product or offering. And after it's so valuable that people will discover it, right? And our experience is quite different, right? So if you guys had to win customers next week, I mean, like, not literally next week, right? Because it's a short week. But if you had to move something,
I mean, that's really the problem, the short week.
If you had to move something really fast, what would you have done like a few years ago? And how do you do it today? That would be very interesting to know, and I think very valuable. Who wants to start?
What do you mean by a few years ago, Max? Because 3 years ago, I would have done the same as today. So
then what was 3 years before that?
6 years ago?
And how?
Correct.
6 years ago.
Correct. 6 years ago.
Yeah. Or when was the last time you would have done it differently, and you had to do it differently because you didn't know better, or there wasn't the opportunity to do it the way you're doing it today, which we don't know yet, but you will tell us in a minute.
Yeah.
What has changed?
Changed has the technology that we can use these days, I guess, that helps us to really scale. And I'm talking about just outbound sales now. I mean, the other part, Abdu Abdu, you can add some stuff, but I think first thing you need to figure out on this scale of a lot of a lot of companies that are your potential market, or not many companies that are your potential market, right? Because if your market is all the small and medium enterprises, you may choose a different channel or less outbound, more marketing initiatives that Abdu knows about. And if you have like, let's say, the 100 biggest pharma companies in the world that you can target, then you probably choose more an outbound way, because outbound is, I guess, in this way, if you really want to get into a company, it's way more predictable that you get into this. Like if you say, I want to get into Novartis, I think the most predictable way is to look for the people and get at them, and in different motions. And in outbound, I definitely choose the first. You have 3 options, I think, 4, 5 maybe, but 2 I don't necessarily do anymore. So one is LinkedIn outreach, one is email outreach, cold calling. You also can send letters. I'm not really doing that anymore, other than if I really don't get in. And there is some very funny and innovative ways to get to the customer. One is you send the customer a shoe, and then with a letter, and in that letter you write, hey, I already have a shoe in your door. Can you remind me so that I can bring you the next one? So that's an option that always works. It costs you maybe half of, or it costs you a pair of shoes because you can't wear. Oh, actually no, it costs you a half pair because you can then buy the same pair and maybe use. So that's nice. So that options I know. The most scalable option out of these 3 now. 6 years ago, I probably wouldn't have seen much of a difference between email, cold call, and LinkedIn, because we were in scalability very similar. But nowadays, you can reach out via mail to potential customers or prospects. Like, to give you a number, I reached out to, I guess, around 1,000 prospects within for an effort of 3 days, let's say 1,000. And out of these 1,000 people, I got 10% meetings. That's 100 meetings with an effort of 3 days. That's nothing. I can actually, if it's not those who want to see the numbers, I can for sure show the numbers at some point. Or
I just want to hear them again.
So 1,000, you can reach out to 1,000 contacts with an effort of, let's say, 3 to 4 days, I'd say, and you can reach 10% booking rates on average. That's possible. So that means 100 meetings for 3 to 4 days effort that you put in. That's definitely possible. Definitely possible. I achieved that. With not only with Larry, with my salespeople, but also with several startups that I'm helping with the messaging and everything. So definitely today, I would start with a simple professional email outreach. Email is still the most professional, like way more professional than LinkedIn, perceived more professional than LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, a lot of recruiters are on the website. Many people, and that's underestimated. Salespeople, if your target group is salespeople or marketing people or HR people, yes, you're gonna reach them. If your target group isn't any of those, they might be only on LinkedIn when they want to change jobs. Mm-hmm. Could be a good option, but it could also be not that good. That might be, and also reading the messages when they're looking for jobs, things like that. I mean, that's my experience right now with this. So definitely start with some kind of very, very scalable LinkedIn outreach with the help of the many tools that are out there that we can certainly tell you. It depends on the size of your sales force. What kind of tools you use. It depends on what your target group is and so on. So there are different options, and we have quite. Yeah, I've been using quite a few of these. So that's my take on my first take on this.
I mean, the numbers, like, they're unbelievable, right? And what I observe personally, and I'd be interested in your perspective much more, Abdu. So what I perceive personally is that with all of this messaging that is no longer calling people at the exact time where they don't want to take the call, that has somehow it has turned cold outreach into like an asynchronous discipline, right? Where we now respect that the other person has their own agenda, and we don't have to call again and again and again and again and again, and just to get get on the nerves of the gatekeeper or something. And that has made it more bearable also for me. Like, nobody likes to be
Rejected.
yeah, exactly, shouted at, called names, whatever, because we mean well. Like, most successful salespeople I know, they mean well. So they absolutely have no intent of you like getting on people's nerves and stuff. And that has become way easier to transport through these types of messages. And that is a qualitative observation. The numbers you just shared are, I think they are like, you must be crazy if you don't do it, right?
Absolutely.
Abdul, in the past, how would you've done it, and how has that changed?
Okay. I mean, in my perspective, there's a lot of information missing here. For example, why do you need a customer next week? Do you need just the revenue, or like your average, how's that called, revenue per customer? Is that what's missing for next week, or do you actually need
maybe the
client?
whole world is crashed and burned, and everybody has some virus, and now we are locked down, and maybe I just don't have the revenue, and maybe I don't know how to pay my people,
Yeah, but you got existing clients, for example.
Yeah, maybe, but they don't work. They seem broken.
Okay, it's a really dark scenario you're painting here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, usually when you got like 10 customers or clients, and you need the revenue of one additional client, the best place to look for that revenue would be in how could you add value to what you're doing with your actual clients.
So you could grow with existing customers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, that's not allowed, Abdul.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I thought that sounds like a cheat. Okay, new business. Yeah, what I would do, I think, if I needed a customer in a week, I would definitely set up a outbound campaign. I would get email addresses of potential target accounts and do it Patrick's way. Maybe not with the same efficiency, most probably not, but I think I could do that in 1 week. If that's the sole target of the week I'm in, yeah, that would be the way to go. I mean,
so you find the touch point and then just go and message, start talking to people, but in what format?
Yeah, via email.
Okay.
It would be via email. I mean, if I had enough budget, I would probably do something like LinkedIn lead ads, for example, just to accompany my efforts, or a sequence that switches between LinkedIn and email for the outreach, like first message on LinkedIn, then via email or something like that. But I would have to test. But if you give me 1 week, and yeah, what we're talking about is like a client for our services. So it's not like a new e-commerce customer or something like that. Yeah, definitely that's the way to go.
I think the 1 week was more like a pun, because 1 week max, I can tell you, and no way.
I would just call Patrick. That's my solution.
Patrick will tell you, no way, up to me. 4 days. 4 days. In 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you think we should really try that? Yeah.
Yeah, we should try that.
We should
That
try.
sounds like a nice challenge.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll tell you guys if we really like, if we're serious about it. That's, I think it's a fair question. Of course, why do you make up a video title for YouTube? I hate to break it to you guys. Some of these titles are complete crap. They are just there so you click, right? Because that's the next step. We want you to be convinced, to be willing to take, so we can give you more ideas. So, but we haven't tried it. We don't know if it's impossible in a week. I doubt it, seriously. I think I have some proof.
I
I
actually
won a
know it
customer last
works.
week after 3 days. I'm pretty sure.
I actually
pretty
know
sure. I
it
have to look
works
it up.
because in the first agency I built with my partner, there was a lot of situations where we were like, it wouldn't be bad if we had some additional revenue for next week when the salary is due. And yeah, we made it always. So
You made it always amazing.
yeah.
I mean, you are geniuses, guys. I think
Sometimes it was more luck than some kind of super genius. But
how is it called? Luck of the those who work hard or something like this. Das Tüchtigen on in.
yeah.
So that's something, that's probability somehow. That's not luck anymore, but I know what you mean. I had that as well quite often. I think something that changed these days, and is going to change in Europe. I am going to forecast this. What's happening in the US is it doesn't work just email or LinkedIn or phone. What they do, and I do implement that as well now, is you define a cadence. Any lead that gets into your cadence is going to have the same touch point. So the first touch point is day 1, LinkedIn connection request. Day 2, an email. Day 3, a call. Day 4, you let them rest a little bit. Day 5, follow-up email and the call. Day 6, LinkedIn message. Day 7, let them rest. 8, call, and so on. So you have like this within 20 days. And I also realized with cold call, what's really annoying is when people know your number, they don't get it anymore. You can't call every second day. They're not gonna pick up. Never. They're just gonna let you. And usually, as a salesperson, you do exactly the wrong thing. You let it like become even longer periods. Then you don't call for 4 days. You call in 4 days again, and maybe then in a week, and then maybe in 2 weeks. And you think like, it's annoying. He never picks up, or she never picks up. So I'm gonna even stop. You should actually do exactly the opposite. I usually, what I do when they don't get pick up, I call every day, and if not, every day twice. Like this. And at some point, very quickly, you have an email in your inbox, and they say, "Hey, I'm sorry, really sorry not have you answered your call, but that's currently now the situation. Let's talk then and then." Then you get
talk on their mailbox and say something like, "Hey, you cannot ignore me forever. I promise."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's also important. Put something in the voicemail, and you cannot ignore me for now. I haven't tried this. I'm going to try for our challenge this week. So to the customer. Next
so
week.
the rhythm, just to get the rhythm, you like the gist for people watching this. So you're saying if you need customers next week, you're no longer doing like classical cold calling. We have been switching to LinkedIn and email and all these more asynchronous tools that where also the platform has some trust already, and now we're sending messages and getting in contact with people through those channels, but we try to get in contact through more than one channel, and you even get as far as calling them, and you just follow up like hardcore, right? That's the message. Okay, cool. So what do you do when and also I would be curious to understand, like, how do you structure the messaging, right? If somebody wants to do this tomorrow, what do they write, right? In terms of, or is there any structure we can share? And what do you do if the customer picks up and says like, I really, where did you get my number?
Yeah. So first, the answer to the second question is easy. I'm always honest. I'm telling them, hey, sorry, these days there are tools you can get your number, and somewhere you put your number, and I got it from this tool called Lucia,
for instance.
That's what I tell them. So I'm completely honest about that. Also with the email address, I explained to them, these days the tools find the email address through finding the URL of your company and then check the pattern and get the pattern back. That's how it works these days. And I mean, it's not wrong to guess that, right? It's also data protection rule. It's no problem to guess somebody's email. Okay, there is a gray zone to actually write that email, even though you didn't have consent, but that's another topic. Let's talk about that afterwards. To your first question, how do you do it when you want to start tomorrow? Not sure. Do you mean the calls or the emails or both?
Yeah,
The whole
my experience is most tech companies have a pretty hard time. And that is especially true for consultants. They have a pretty big soul. They want to help everybody. They don't have the capability, experience, or confidence to make a decision whether it's going to be phone or LinkedIn or email. It's rather going to be the one where they get the least bloody nose.
Yes.
So they would probably go with email and then hope that nobody reads it. So nobody's getting angry. But then at the same time, they want somebody to read it, but only if they like it. So
I think one day
how do
emails
you approach this without getting burned, right?
Yeah. So let's start with email. For emails is as Abdu also I think confirmed, and I'd agree is the most scalable one when it comes to outreach at the beginning. I think I definitely recommend to do that. Now, I think there is a general rule that applies for first reach out emails. There's three things. One is brevity, just below 150 words. You have to be below 150 words. That's not difficult. That's actually easy. So you don't have to write that much. Personalization. The more personalized your approach is, the easier, obviously, or the better feels the person on the other side. However, the more personalized it is, the less scalable. So that's a little bit of the issue that you have. The more you personalize, the less you can scale. But there is personalization capabilities these days, also with the help of tools that you can actually use and even still scale. Like those 1,000 contacts that I reached out to within four days, that was fully scalable. No fully personalized emails, but a little personalized. You can always use a little personalization. For instance, one easy not personalization, but something that feels like he did write that email only for me. And if you write something like, "Good morning, dear Max," or "Good morning, dear Mr. Eilers," and you write your email only in the morning, this is already a game changer. Nobody does that. If you do something that nobody does, "Good morning, dear Mr. Eilers," in the morning, nobody does that. Always. I mean, look at those emails that you get. What's it? "Hi, Max." "Hello, Max."
I really like that. That's very good.
Doesn't work. So a little personalization, not only for that person, but you can use that in your emails. That works really well. And the third one is relevance. I really love that. I usually, what I do with customers that come to you and show me their email, what I do, I read every sentence one by one. I look at the sentence, just one sentence, and then to the next. And if you have to do that with all your emails, read your sentence. And when you think, this sentence, if that sentence is out of the email, do we lose information, or is it really relevant, this sentence? Is this sentence really, really relevant? And so often I ask them and say, do you think your email would sound similar if we take this sentence out? And very often it's like, actually that sentence doesn't add really very much information. And that's a very important thing. Go through every sentence, and you get below 150 words with that approach as well. And
so you're trying to go down to like 150 words.
150 words, exactly. You should be 100. And there's another rule with the relevancy that comes with the relevancy, one sub-rule to the relevancy. There's like 4 different things you can talk about, like your product. You can talk about use cases. You can talk about results, you can talk about challenges, and you can talk about features, and you can talk about functions or something like this. Maybe there are others, but there are usually these 5 things that you can talk about. Never mix them ever. Never talk about functions, never talk about or write about features. Those 2 fully get them out. Use cases, not necessarily. Talk about results you have achieved, challenges you solved, and how you did it. How? Just 1 sentence. That's also important. Don't write, we reduced employee turnover by 80%. That everybody can do that. Everybody can write that. The people want to understand how you reduced employee turnover by 80%. Not that you just it's important to write 80%. Sounds like ridiculous. Probably never happens, but and the numbers should be right, not ridiculous.
Yeah, and if you're doing it in the real world, it's never going to be exactly 80%, right? Because how does the productivity or the employee turnover know that you want it at, it's going to be 79 or 82. It just happens, right? Yeah,
that's true.
So you're saying that you switch. So we don't do cold calling anymore. We do campaigning. And we also don't do like a single message. We do like a sequence of messages, and you can follow up like a crazy bear, right? Trying to get into the trash can because, I don't know why. So, but you can have all the passion and you can have all the power and you like reach out until they no longer ignore you. But if I understand what you're saying correctly, you say like, it's got to be personal, it's got to be relevant, and you got to be precise about what's in it for them, right? So people want to understand that you're not bothering them just for yourself, but that there's really something you can add to them. Is that it?
Yes, that's it. And one thing I want to add, because Abdu, you were asking that, do you write an email first and then cold call? I think cold calling is still in, also with this, and there's a special tip I can give, and it works extremely well. Use it in the summer holidays and use it maybe Pentecost is next week, I guess. Use it on Monday. Write an email on Monday, because what you get is the best thing that happens in sales is an answer back, an out of holiday answer with a phone number, with the direct phone number of the person. So if you write your email on Monday, it happened to me a lot. I mean, last week was the best opportunity ever. That is unfortunately it's gone, because the bridge between Auffahrt and Saturday, usually most people take that day off and they have their holiday signature their holiday absence stuff and the signature and the phone number. And because the most cumbersome thing with cold calling is you don't have the direct number very often. It depends on what the level of the people is that you call. So you need to get that number. And when you have like 1,000 contacts that you reach out to, you can be pretty sure that you will get around 300 to 400 numbers at some point, because you have that sequence, and that's what you could add, Max. So the sequence is usually 4 emails long and 3 days between the emails. So 1 email, then 3 days break, the other email, 3 days break, the next email, 3 days break, and then the last email. One important thing with the last email, sorry, I'm really talking too much here, but the last email has to be something like, hey, Abdu, I figure this is not a priority right now, what I'm writing in my email. Therefore, I will leave you in peace and call you and reach out to you again in 2 to 3 months. Best regards, Abdu. What does that do? You don't say no, because those breaking up messages never work and don't work, because especially when you don't have any, they do work if the client is somehow already committed, obviously. But not in an early sequence, and don't work. So you have another sequence with about like 300 people that haven't answered you, haven't opened your mail, whatever. You put them in a new sequence in 2 to 3 months and have your next go with those people who haven't answered. So just write 2 to 3 months, and then you're fine. And that's basically how I would do it these days, and level it up with LinkedIn connection request at least, and then give them a call.
So from single message to campaign on more than one channel typically, and we're using like this power that the whole process just has become asynchronous, but we're also pushing through in order to get a yes or a no. So we stopped earlier and said like, okay, this guy is going to be so angry at you, so mad at you. If you, I would freak out, right? You interrupt my flow 10 times or so. I'd probably get on the phone and be pretty angry. And then the first question I asked you was, where did you get my number? And you said, like, you're always honest about that. You tell them where you got the number. Then what would be my next question? It's pretty predictable.
You're not interested.
No, that's not a question.
Your question. Your next
My question. What would I ask you if you called me? You just called me out. You told me where you got my number from. What's my next question?
I don't know. Probably wouldn't be. I would formulate it like this. I would say, okay, I got your number there and there. And
what
then,
do you want?
Yeah, up to?
What do you want? Why me? What do you want?
Yeah, why me?
What would you say?
I'd say, Mr. Eilers, we have been working with such companies as AXA and Generali and so on. So companies that are exactly relevant for you. These are your competitors, your three fiercest competitors.
Yeah, like you.
I'd say, hey, we automate this process with them. And I was just wondering, Max, how you are doing this process today. And then I let you answer the question. And many people, like 80%, honestly, 80% start talking then. 20% say, no, I'm not interested. When they say, no, I'm not interested, I say, Max, what needs to happen so that you might be interested in, let's say, 6 or 12 months? And then something interesting is coming up, and you can follow up. Usually these people get caught into questions, into a conversation extremely quickly. And after 7 minutes, I had people say after 7 minutes, hey, you called me, and I'm still on the call with you. What happened? You seem to be a good conversation person. I don't know. He used the word in German. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just leave your
Good to talk to.
Leave your piece. Yeah, exactly. Leave your piece that you want to say. Just it has to be 10 seconds. 10 seconds, something like with 3 customers that you do, really quick formulation, just a quick formulation that has in with something like at automate or I don't know. You have to find a formulation for yourself and then immediately launch a question. And in a call, never ever stop talking without launching the next question. You always should be launching a next question. That's why I said, Max, when you say, where did you get my number? I would usually say, yeah, I have this tool, Lucia. Does that surprise you, Max, that I get your number?
Did you know your number was in there? No, you didn't. Yeah. It's so. What I sense is you're using empathy. You're using like honesty. You're like just honest, right? You're not lying to them or anything. You show that you're passionate, but you jump over the topic. I mean, it's the elephant in the room is, how do you dare to call me, right? What's wrong with you? I mean, you're calling me on my phone on my holiday. Are you crazy? Nobody talks about that. You just jump over to it and say like, hey, other companies like you, they are using our whatever company, organization to automate the process so they can have this new result. And you like live happily ever after with a 42% increase in revenue and profit. If that's for you. So that is the structure of the message. You're talking about the effect. You're talking about the output. And you're talking about why. You're also giving them a reason why it's relevant, because you say like, hey, so why is this relevant? Why should I care? Yeah, they are just like you, right? That's what you said. These guys are just like you. We have created this wild effect, right? Mm-hmm. I wondered if you want that effect too. That's what you're doing, right? It's like a super short, it's a pitch. And then you get into engaging them with questions and and the thing warms up, and sometimes you live through that for 9 minutes. Is that like a little like a rodeo?
A rodeo. It shouldn't be seen as a rodeo. I did see that, like, because you were asking before, how did you do it 7 years ago or 6 years ago? I mean, 6 years ago, I looked at it as a fight. As a fight. I need to get this meeting, but that's the fully the completely wrong mindset. You should get into a cold call with the mindset. If I find something. If I get one new information from that customer, that's already a win. If the customer is using technology, if I learn that at the moment he has those 3 priorities that have nothing to do with us, that's also something you learn. And if you learn something, that the question, I'm so amazed by the question, what needs to happen if you can talk that so that we can talk again in 5 or 6 months. And people always come up with something. Yeah, you need to be able to show me that you are more efficient. You need to be able to show me that you provide less risk, that it's less risky to work with you, and all these things. And so where to start the next time. It's not that difficult actually then.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset. Yeah, exactly. But you're hitting on a very important point, because I went into the calls with this mindset, with this rodeo mindset. It's like it's a fight. I need to win. That's
a minute.
Yeah, I think the place I heard it first was from Louis Nichols, but I don't know where that's originated from. But there's like this saying that in sales, it's like sales is what you do when you're exchanging information with your target audience or your prospects, and marketing is what you do when you already got all the information needed to be able to address them at scale. So
that's interesting. That's a very interesting point, because you would assume it's quite the other way around, because it sounds like sales is coming before marketing is coming. And that would confuse me, because my whole perception is that the marketing is the girls with the flyers and the ads creating the lead, and then sales. So
but the ads won't
that has you turn this stuff around.
I mean, the ads won't deliver any leads as long as you don't know what it is, what to write into the ads, what creatives and copy to use for your ads, as long as you don't know your audience. So in the beginning of the process, you don't really know. You may probably know what problem you're solving, but you still don't know how that problem is perceived, how it actually that problem shows in the daily business of your target audience or your prospect. So in the beginning, I really like Patrick's approach with get one information. I mean, as long as you know a little bit more about potential customers than you did before taking the call, you learned something and you can apply that to your next call. And in the best case, you can apply that to building up your marketing collateral. Yeah.
So you are saying, Abdul, are you using sales to test the marketing message, or what you're doing there?
You're not actually using sales to test the marketing message. I think you're using sales. The sales is most probably a very good way of getting to know your audience, your target audience, your prospects, and your potential customers. So with every call, you exchange information because you ask questions and they tell you how they actually feel about it. Maybe they don't. Maybe you'll figure out that you're solving a problem that no one really cares about. And you won't find that out with setting up a huge marketing campaign and A/B testing a landing page that has 2 times a not relevant message. So, that's things that won't happen to you as long as you actually know your customers. And especially if you're in new business, I think sales is most probably the only thing you should do in terms of reaching out.
So that takes us full circle, right? I mean, we talked about what would you do if you had to really win customers fast. I understand that this outreach process multiple channels. We're using like a campaign instead of singular messaging. We're following up LinkedIn, email, phone, and stuff. That gives us a lot of control. I hear from Patrick, like, great numbers. We talked about you reach out to 1,000 people. It can give you hundreds of really serious appointments, right? You can do that in a snap, right? Maybe it's not days, maybe it takes like a few days, but it's really something I would not have deemed possible before. And then you're also saying, like, this is not only a good way to get to an effect pretty fast. You're also saying that this is the smartest way to build up the marketing message that resonates with the audience, so you don't have to guess it. You just hear it. You just hear it.
Yeah, that's well put.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, if I had known that like a few years ago, I would have probably spared myself a lot of content marketing headache. And you're like black holes sucking me in, like Facebook advertising, and then doing the lead magnet and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which you probably can.
The closest thing you can do in digital marketing, maybe I'm on thin ice here, but I think the closest thing you can do to a sales conversation is like getting keywords going on, let's say Google Ads or SEMrush or something like that. Find keywords people are actually looking for, and maybe they contain the problem you solve. But even there, it's still like guessing and a lot of interpretation. But it's not actually hearing anyone saying, "Hey, really care about this, but XYZ is the reason why I still haven't made the step." So yeah, I think that's very valuable in the early stages of a business, and it stays valuable in the process. It doesn't reduce. Yeah, the value isn't reduced over time, because as long as you keep having those valuable conversations with your potential customers, your let's say your marketing collateral will stay up to date, because you will stay relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
that's a way of staying relevant. Otherwise, you will just realize your conversion rate is decreasing and wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I mean, that's just gorgeous, and I think it contains a lot of tactical advice, and it contains a very important strategic learning also, right? I mean, like there seems to be an evolution in that conversation, and we can disclose it. I think that's why we picked the title here, right? You move on the proof means that we start one-to-many marketing conversation only with messages and only around pain and gain and everything that we hear from customers. And I've done a lot of go-to-market projects with technology companies of like different sizes, and whenever we start interviewing customers, I see the same face. It's like, and then the question is, why didn't we do this earlier? Like all this makeup in our brain lab stuff, it's crazy. And that is one of the most beautiful things about this, I think, like the cold outreach. It allows us to have an honest conversation with the marketplace that will also detail to us, are we valuable enough, right? Like we talked about product market fit, we talked about message market fit and stuff. So it will turn us into better entrepreneurs, into better founders. It will improve the product. It will also help the customer have more influence on what we are offering them in the pretty midterm. It doesn't take forever, right? It's not like 5 years from now. The more we interact, the more valuable, the more honest we can be with each other. And I think that's astonishing. And then taking that into the marketing conversation is just great. I love it. I totally love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anything to add, gentlemen?
Yeah, maybe one last word.
Go for it.
If you guys struggle with, if you don't reach these these rates that we have with like your email outreach, for instance. I mean, on average, I have 70+% open rates, 50+ reply rates, and 10+ bookings. And if you struggle with this, and imagine you had the perfect message and you're still struggling with this, then you know that's an early warning system that probably something is wrong. You either target the wrong people, or your problem that you want to solve doesn't exist. I told you, if you're writing the perfect messages, if you feel unsure about writing the perfect messages, reach out to us. I think it's really, really important to get the messaging right, because if you get the messaging right, it can only either be your product or the people you're targeting. That can be fixed at some. Well, that takes long time to fix. It can, like, if you have to change the product. That's not great, right? But you need to have this early warning system. The message can be fixed from today to tomorrow, but the message still needs to be perfect. So don't miss the chance to get your message to perfect your messaging, so that you know, okay, I can blame the CEO for the product. No, but yeah, that's an important one. I mean, and it's okay if you don't reach these numbers afterwards, because there are problems who are, more pressing, and others who aren't. But
the numbers are pretty amazing.
I mean,
that has to be said too. It's not just like you set up a campaign and that's what to expect. It's there's a lot of optimizing behind those numbers, I guess.
Yes, yes, there is a lot of optimizing behind those.
Yeah, and if you fall short of them, that maybe is a sign that you need to work on them and so forth.
Yeah.
Abdu, any closing words from you?
I don't know if it's optimal closing words, but I have like two things to add to the whole to the personalization part, and like one thing to add to the personalization part, and maybe one small hack to give them on the way, like growth hack, or in terms of personalization, I think it's really, really, really important that when you take Patrick's numbers, you will never get there by just creating a irrelevant message with just hello, first name, last name. That's not where personalization stops. That's really important. It has to be a bit past that. Like, except because people are used to seeing their name in emails by like a lot of newsletter tools. They get newsletters too. So it has to be a little bit. Gotta go a little bit further. I really like the thing with sending it in the morning and starting the mail with good morning, because that's easy, because you just adopted the time and addressing the person. So it's you combine two things that make it really personalized in the perception. It's perceived personalization. That's what you got to aim for. It has to feel personalized.
You say you have more than one data or personalization point. I've seen campaigns that go like they have implemented their own web crawler. They would scan websites and look for a certain plugin in the WordPress, because they have like the competitive product to that plugin. They know the other thing sucks in comparison. Now they write to everybody who has this plugin running and say like, did you know this was on your website? It's like, boy, this is costing you big time, right? Don't you want us to remove it and fix it? So it's really sometimes that data point makes it relevant. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, great thing.
And in terms of open rates, I mean, there's a problem. I'm not nearly as experienced as Patrick in like, let's call it cold outreach or cold emails. But we tried something interesting in our campaign in September. I don't know. Since then we're just busy. But in September we had a outreach campaign that only went to 20 businesses. But we just doubled our open rate in comparison to older campaigns by adding this little thing I found in I don't know, somewhere in a blog or article. It's the 3 letters that could help you double your open rate is FWD, forward. We set it up so that my business partner was actually sending me, and yeah, we're into email marketing and marketing automation. So he automatically sent me an email that contained the company's name, the recipient's name, and said, "Hey, company X looks really interesting. They could definitely benefit from what we're doing. Maybe you should talk to Y. Here's his email address. Could be wait a sec. Like, great things would come out of a discussion between the two of you." And then I just set it up so my email account automatically forwards that to the email that's in it. So yeah, that happened. That worked pretty well. You don't have to automate it. You can just get anyone in your company to say, "Hey, we found company X and they could really benefit from our service. Please talk. Maybe you should talk to Y." Then actually write an email to Y saying, "Hey, my partner just found. My partner just told me that maybe we should talk." It's like an angle that makes it more. It feels more human. I mean, yeah, it's not just like. Yeah, I really like that, and it really worked well in terms of opening rate, in terms of meetings booked, but it was a lot of work to set it up because we wanted to automate it. Yeah.
Amazing. I like that.
You like these little hacks? They're just great. And sometimes you wonder why they work.
Yeah.
And I take that there's like you got to use context, right? Because context makes it relevant. And even if it just the message is forwarded and you seem to be more caring and everything, I understand why it works. Yeah, it's cool. So guys, in front of the screens, if you are really serious about getting this right, and you still have questions, or you have an opinion on this, you tried stuff like this, or you don't know if you have anything to share, just feel free. Write us in the chat. We're monitoring this even if we're no longer live. If this closed and you're not watching it live, doesn't matter. And if you wanna get this stuff right, and you feel you're not just there yet, you're still a little uncertain, don't worry. We're here to help you guys. Even if it's just answering a few questions for you, giving you one or two tips. Just ask. Never start guessing, because that's the worst thing you can do. If there's 2 things you take from today's podcast episode here, it's you can, if you're really on fire and you need customers fast, you want to use that underestimated power of outreach, because it gets you into honest conversations with the customer fast, and that can lead to deals in a week, literally. And will that work all the time? I don't know. Can we work something out that works for you as fast as possible? Absolutely. The second thing is, don't guess about marketing. Don't guess about messaging. You can just get in the marketplace and get it from them. And it's the most powerful marketing messaging that you will ever get, is people telling you what's on their mind, really, and what they want to buy from you and what they want to pay for it. You can get all of that from your customers. And we would love more people doing it, because it leads to more value in the end. So with that said, gentlemen, it has been my pleasure. Patrick, Abdu, you are checking out from the 10 Commandments for Smarter Growth in our Smarter Growth Sales Made podcast every Tuesday. And guys in front of the screen, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for watching this. You obviously can tell that we have a lot of pleasure doing it. Still, it only creates value if you watch it. So thank you very much. Take care and see you very soon.
You guys, take care.